Hello, everybody.
Hi, friends.
How we doing today?
Welcome back to Butchered True Crime. I am Jess.
I'm Coral.
Yep, that's Coral.
I'm so glad we're
She is
doing
her.
this.
I know, me too.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, our second video together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start off with a bula before we
do
go
it.
any further.
Bula.
Bula. Cheers to us adapting and doing what we got to do to get this ish done, baby.
Yeah, we as I'm sure you guys can see this beautiful background. The upside down Christmas tree, I'm like living for.
Oh, it's so good.
I love it.
It's so good.
Yeah, but we're at Hakuna Macaba, which is a kava bar in downtown West Palm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coral works here,
Yeah,
actually.
I do. I
She does.
mentioned in my solo video that I work here.
Yeah.
For the amazing Danielle Rothmel and her husband Blake. We got some amazing products, tea, kava kratom, even some other fun drinks as well. We host
Yep.
a lot of fun events. you
So
know.
many fun events.
Yeah, ranging from an open mic to Flow Friday to tons of stuff. So if you haven't been down here, I definitely urge you guys to get down here and check us out.
Yeah, do you guys do a game night Thursday nights
Yeah,
too, right?
Thursday nights I host a video game tournament. It ranges from Smash to
That's awesome.
Mario Kart, Tekken. It's super fun.
Dude, I love playing some Mario Kart.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not very good at it, but I love to play.
I mean, every day working here is my favorite, but Thursday nights are some of my favorites, so I can
Yeah.
kick those boys' butts.
I bet. Get
I'm
it,
just kidding.
girl.
They're
Get it.
watching it right now, and they're like, she never gets past level 8.
But the princess in the car is so cute.
Oh, yeah. I always do Cat Peach all the way.
I love it. I love
Comment
it.
below what character you use in Mario Kart, because I'm curious. I think it says a lot about a person.
Yeah, I do like the princess, but I also like the dinosaur.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
Yoshi?
Yoshi.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Yoda, but that's not Yoda.
I like the
Yoshi,
little
Yoshi.
mushroom guy, too.
Oh,
I'm
that
blanking
one's
on his
really
name,
cute.
but
They're
he
all
was like,
cute.
"Ew."
Let's be honest. Yeah. They're all so cute. But
They're adorbs.
yeah. So yes, thank you so much to Blake and Danielle and Hakuna Macaba for sponsoring this video today.
Yeah.
We're so excited. And yeah, today is I feel like if you're in the true crime community, there's like those top 5
Oh, for sure.
serial killers that everybody always wants to hear about.
Yeah.
And you can hear about them over and over again. It's still so interesting every single time.
Yeah, I feel like even people that
Wild.
aren't into true crime will know who we're talking about today.
Yeah. And, I know you and I were talking about earlier, like if you could sit down and have dinner or even just ask a few questions to any serial killer, past or present, like who would you pick? And mind you, this is not because we love serial killers. We're not condoning
We
any
don't
of
love
this.
murder.
No, we don't. We do not love murder. But it's interesting, like the mind and the, just the mind behind it all. Like why have these people chose to do what they
Oh,
did?
yeah.
And I know you said yours was Richard Ramirez.
It is.
And mine is Ed Gein.
Oh, yeah. Ed Gein's definitely up there for me.
For
He inspired
sure.
one of my favorite movies, which is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And
Silence of the Lambs too.
tons
Yeah,
of stuff. But
yeah.
Richard Ramirez for me is number one. I just think,
What's the number one question you would ask him, you think? I know. Did I put you on the spot?
no, I just haven't really thought about that because I have a flooded
So
list
many.
of questions I would ask
Yeah.
him. But I think like my top question I would probably want to ask him would be, I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm going to answer while you're thinking
Yeah.
about it. Mine would be Ed Gein. I have so many questions, but I think my number one question is
Where did you get the nipple belt? I'm just
yes,
kidding.
the nipples. Damn it! Like I just want to know when he was constructing a nipple belt made with human nipples. Is this something he just wore around the house, or was he like, "Hey, got to go down to the grocery store and pick up some bread and milk. Let me grab my nipple belt."
What would you do
go
if
around
you're in a
public?
checkout line and you turn around and the man behind you is full studded out nipple belt?
First, I would ask what his last name is if he was related to Ed Gein. Second, I would call the authorities because what the
Hey, maybe
fuck?
it's trending. Maybe you can buy it on Shein now.
I don't want one. I just want to know why. So that's
Yeah,
mine.
Who
That's
was his
mine.
fashion inspiration? Where did he pull these ideas to construct these clothing? And
it was his well, Ed Gein, the whole thing behind him doing what he did was because he was trying to basically reconstruct his dead mother. But I don't know what his mom had to do with the nipple belt.
Yeah, and the furniture and things like that. Maybe that was just his
It's
style of
wild.
home decor.
Yeah, maybe. Who
His
knows?
Pinterest is just dead bodies.
His Pinterest is it's a whole vibe.
So I think I would have a lot of questions about Richard Ramirez's Satanism.
Yeah.
You know, what obviously like he was influenced into it by some family members, but beyond that, like what was really the grab and hook for him? What made him believe in this so hard to the point where, you know, he's yelling "Hail Satan" in the courtroom and things like that? Because religion is such a broad spectrum to me, and there's so many different forms of it. And I think if you ask someone who's Christian, you know, like, why are you Christian? Why do you believe in God? Why do you go to church every Sunday? Why do you do Bible study? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would want to know, you know what I mean? Because it's not the norm.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I totally, yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
before
wild.
we go any further, I just want to give a little trigger warning because we will be talking about sexual assault, children, molestation, things along those lines. So if that is not your gig, girl, that is totally fine. We have tons of other videos you can check out. This one's just going to be on the more brutal side.
Yeah. So take, everybody's mental health comes first. So take care of yourself. There will definitely be more videos for you to come back and check out.
Yeah.
And
I think we're planning on covering other things beyond serial killers, you know, missing
For
people,
sure.
conspiracy theories.
I definitely want to start getting into more open disappearance cases.
Sometimes the stuff gets heavy, you know?
Absolutely.
We're
for
sitting
sure.
here, you know, studying this and putting notes together to come speak about it. And those days are just like an endless cycle of thinking about, you know, what had happened and what went on. But there's a level that we do enjoy in all this.
Yeah. Yeah. And enjoyments
In doing the research.
Yes. Like the psyche behind it and the mind behind it and why people do what they do. But so yeah, with that being said, also make sure to leave a comment and let us know if you could have dinner or ask a serial killer, past or present, who would you pick and why? Yeah, I want to know what everyone's
Who would be sitting at their round table.
Yeah. Yeah, just like I also have a fascination with like what people choose as their last meal. Like
it's actually trending on TikTok right now. People are posting what their last meals would be, and of course it's more comical. It's like an Elf bar and a hot pickle and some Takis and some things like that. What would be if you had to pick one thing you had to eat?
For sure scallops, probably pasta, scallops, sweet potato. I feel like there's something else I'd want. I don't know.
I'd be feeling
the
some surf and turf, you know, some steak and lobster and
I don't eat a
garlic
lot
butter.
of red meat, but I get why you would pick
I
that
never
too.
really liked red meat until this last year.
Really?
Yeah, I've been super into steak. I don't know what has happened to me.
It's something your body's craving.
Yeah. Data man, they said it'll be fun. They said you'll eat a lot of red meat.
Oh, I love
Speaking
it.
of, before we go any further, I just want to give a little shout out to my mom. She's like one of our #1 fans, and she's so excited that we're doing this.
Hi,
So,
Coral's
hi,
mom.
Love you. She's gonna die when she sees that.
I love it. I love it. So yeah. So without further ado, today's case is on
Richard Ramirez.
Yeah.
AKA the Night Stalker.
Coral's dinner date choice.
Oh yeah, for sure. I also think, oh God, this is gonna sound effed up, but
Just say it. Let it out.
there's a little bit of attraction there too.
You've told me that before, and I want to never look at you ever
I've
again
always
because
liked-
I don't understand.
I've always liked like
Oh.
a dirty crust punk, like kind of fuck the system kind of guy. You know what I mean?
He looks like he hasn't showered
Well,
since
yeah.
the day he was born.
I mean, there's like a level of personal hygiene, but I'm just saying it's I don't know. There's something wrong with me. We all know that.
we need to talk about that more after we're done.
I need to talk to
recording.
somebody about it.
Yeah, you do. I'll
Maybe a
help.
licensed therapist.
No, hey, listen. Everybody's attracted to what they're attracted to.
I've heard of people being into weirder stuff, so
Oh,
no.
like, yeah.
Let that one fly.
Yeah, I'll let that one pass. You're good. You're good.
All right, so Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker, who terrorized the state of California and San Francisco for a short period of time, but the damage was very impactful in that short period of time.
Yeah.
So Richard Ramirez's childhood played a huge part in his style and nature of his crimes.
Yeah.
He had been exposed to violence and Satanism from a very, very, very young age.
Yeah.
So, early life of Richard Ramirez, he was born in El Paso, Texas on February 29th in 1960. He was born to an immigrant couple. He had four siblings, so five children total.
Yeah. He was the youngest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was the baby.
The baby.
So at age 10, Ramirez starts smoking marijuana, the devil's lettuce, which I think no 10-year-old kid should be smoking weed.
No.
At least wait till you're
No.
16.
Yeah. Jeez. Henry, if you don't know, I hope my son's not listening.
I'm just kidding. No weed, Henry.
No.
So after he was hanging out with his cousin actually heavily influenced him wanting to smoke weed and wanting to get into Satanism. And
His cousin was a Vietnam vet who suffered horribly from PTSD, which is, I mean, Vietnam War, that's a whole other episode too. But it's understandable for him to have PTSD, but now he's inflicting that on a extremely young mind and young child, and, you know, bringing drugs into it, showing
normalizing it in a sense for him. So he's seeing his older cousin doing this and thinking, oh, this is okay, you know? And
showing Richard pictures of women that he like sexually assaulted and like
decapitated heads, him posing with them. And I think we all
from Vietnam.
Oh yeah.
I would throw that out there. Not like
at his time serving. I think we all handle trauma in different ways. We all handle our PTSD or whatever we've been through. And I think he found like some sick enjoyment in influencing his younger cousin, kind of being like, oh, look what I did.
Yeah.
Look at this.
He's probably like in his mind, I'm assuming, obviously this is me assuming.
Assumption.
That in his mind, like all that was like, it was fine. Like there was nothing wrong with what he was doing. So if he could show somebody else, like, look at this, what I did, you could do it too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and no, especially because the whole,
let's not and say we did.
Yeah. The whole frontal, like, lobes of our brain aren't even fully developed.
This is a 10-year-old child.
Yeah.
Like puberty hasn't even.
No. And the whole front part of your brain is where like your decision making and like all like your rational thoughts and stuff like that. It's all in the front lobes of your brain, and that doesn't even fully develop to your mid 20s. So that's just it's wild.
Yeah, so it's crazy. And I don't know. I just think like being around stuff like that, and then the sense where it's like normalized. It's not really like he knew better. Do you know what I mean? And being from an immigrant family and having so many siblings and being the youngest, I'm sure he was kind of brushed under the rug. You know what I mean?
He did not have
the support.
Support or good examples shown upon him at a young age, or ever really. But so he was basically under his cousin's care for a while. Yeah. Okay, so on May 4th, Miguel actually fatally shoots his wife Jessie in the head in front of Richard. Like, wow. Well, I wouldn't want to see that as a grown adult, but can you imagine as a child? Like, here's your cousin who you look up to, and he's literally just shot his loved one in the head.
Richard was probably so desensitized by things like that, you know what I mean?
But he shouldn't be. That's the crazy part.
But sadly, you know, being around him so much, like we all look up to somebody and like want to be like them. And so when you normalize these kinds of things, he probably was just unfazed. I think any other 10-year-old kid, if they saw their cousin shoot their wife in the head, would probably be a little not okay, like screaming, crying, call the police, but not Richard.
Nope. So obviously Miguel is arrested. He actually didn't even, he did 4 years in a psych ward. He didn't even do jail time. Yeah. Never did jail time.
This was also what, in the
70s.
70s, yeah.
Never did jail time.
We've come a long way with our ability to.
I feel like he could have received psychiatric help while in jail.
Yeah.
Like
but I think back then, like mental illness and stuff like that and PTSD from war was not as like studied as it is today. You know, if someone were to commit that crime today, it would be obviously jail time, and they would do a psych evaluation, and that might deter him from certain type of sentencing, but you would still serve time.
Yeah.
Like we saw in the Pearl Fernandez case.
Right. It's wild. Completely insane. Like my dad, he is a Vietnam vet. And
He's not shooting his wife in the head.
No, absolutely not. And my dad is like the kindest, gentlest soul ever, but he also doesn't talk about his time in Vietnam.
Yeah, that's why I said I think we all process trauma differently.
Yeah. So the little bits that I've gotten is from my uncle, my dad's brother, who actually also served in Vietnam, but my uncle wasn't on the front lines. My dad was.
Oh, okay.
So the bits and pieces that I did hear about, it's from my dad telling my uncle, then my uncle telling me at an adult age. I was grown up. It's not like my uncle was sitting me down at 10 years old and like, guess what?
Back
like,
in Nam.
No. So, a few months later, Richard moves in with his sister Ruth and her husband Roberto. Well, good old Roberto boy, and I mean that so sarcastically, is a peeping Tom.
Oh my God, Richard can't catch a break.
No. Is a peeping Tom who then starts taking Richard on his little
escapades,
his little creep shows.
Oh, God.
Like, now you're taking this little boy.
And this is what I mean too by this is such a different time than today. Do you know what I mean? Like the fact that there's people that you could be taking a shower and like, you know, just putting on some lotion and there, God forbid, could be like a 40-year-old man standing in your bushes watching you.
This
we didn't have ring
still
cameras.
Happens, but
yeah.
I'm that woman at home that as soon as that sun goes down, everything in my house closes up. Because if I can't see out, ain't nobody seeing in.
Yeah, I agree. My apartment has like a big glass sliding door in our living room, and on the rare occasion my roommates aren't home and I'm able to walk around the house in my underwear. This happened to me on Thanksgiving. Actually, I was getting ready and I forgot we had left it open. I walk out into the kitchen in like shorts and no shirt, and I look out the windows and I see my upstairs neighbor.
Oh my God.
I'm looking here, he's looking here.
Like, well, happy Thanksgiving.
And I see him all the time walking his dog, and we used to say hey to each other, and now we see each other and it's like bye. So I'm sorry for I learned my lesson though. Blinds are staying closed.
Yep. I like one of my worst fears is it being dark outside, and I go and I like peek through my blinds to look outside and there's instantly eyes staring back at me.
Oh no.
Yeah. So Richard is now going along with his sister's brother. No, his sister's
boyfriend. It'd be weird if they were dating.
Oh, nope. And they're going and doing peeping Tom stuff.
And Richard was young at this point too, right? He's like,
yeah. Oh my God. It was this is still in the 70s, 1977-ish. So no, I'm sorry. It was before shortly before 1977, because in 1977, Miguel, his cousin who shot his wife, is released from the Texas State Mental Hospital.
So short time served there.
4 years.
Yeah.
Jeez. Wild.
For shooting his wife in the head.
In front of a child.
Oh gosh. See, this is why I have so many questions too. It's like, what happened? I mean, obviously Richard went to go live with his sister, but like, did they, offer him any help after seeing that?
Doubtful. Like, you can't even hardly get help for... I say hard. I mean, you can't really get help for stuff like that nowadays.
Yeah, but you'd think you would take the child out and be like, okay, let's do some evaluations, because what this kid saw is, and this is where I go back to, is like, there's these systems set in place, to do these certain things to prevent him to grow up to go out and killing people.
Yeah, but look at how the system treats, they don't protect kids. Look at your case that you did. They did not protect Gabriel for nothing.
No, and I think a lot of people too. A lot of cases that we'll cover.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Boo.
So, 1977, Miguel is released from the Texas State Mental Hospital. And now during this time, Ramirez is actually getting a job at a Holiday Inn where he breaks into hotel rooms and even attempts to rape a patron of the hotel.
Wow, I wonder where he learned that from.
Yeah. Wild,
Shocking.
right? He was like stealing from guests.
But to like go and get a job and be like, okay, the motive behind me working at this hotel is to be able to access people's rooms and people's things. And I think that's something we'll see too with him a lot, is he always wanted, whether it was sexual or people's things or a car or this or that.
I think a lot of it, well, yes, what you just said too, but also I think the main motive behind it was him needing drug money.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because I know this is before your time, girlfriend, but 1980s, what was the big
What was it? The crack epidemic?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And that's exactly where we're going with the story. So in 1982, Richard actually moves from Texas to California.
He had always wanted to go to California. I
Yeah.
think there's this like little thing in all of us. I mean, I'm from California, where it's like, oh, I want to go to LA. I want to,
Yeah.
go to California. It'll be so much better than whatever's going on here, which in a sense, I mean, I'm sure anything was better than what he was going through in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was actually very excited, from what I've read, to move and live there, because I think he also thought, wow, more people, more women,
More opportunities to look in windows.
more corners with drugs.
Yep. Yeah. He was he was in deep with a really, really crack cocaine problem.
So we fast forward a little bit to
Yep.
April 10th of 1984, where he has Ramirez's first victim. I mean, like you said, he attempted a rape when he was working at the hotel, but was unsuccessful.
Yeah.
So yeah, his first victim. His first known murder happened to a 9-year-old girl.
Which actually at the time they didn't know that Richard was responsible for this. They ended up finding out it was like years later. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Never apologize, girl. 9-year-old Mei Lung, a Chinese American girl, is murdered in the basement of San Francisco hotel where Ramirez was living. So he didn't have a permanent residency. He was kind of just bouncing from hotel to hotel. She's raped and stabbed to death before Ramirez hangs her body from a pipe.
By her blouse too.
Oh God, it's like, he's like one of those people who's like, oh, I'm not just going to kill you. I'm not just going to rape you. I'm also going to, make this elaborate, horrific scene.
Yep.
And that is like the thought process of a really demented person, because it's one thing to just kill somebody.
Yeah.
But it's a whole other thing to go through all these other things.
Rape this little girl, take her
9 years old.
innocence, and
9 years old.
my God. Like I don't
Yeah, and so this was kind of the start of it all.
Yep.
I mean, there's always kind of, I feel like, been this little fire in him towards wanting to do these kinds of things because of his influences as a young child.
Yeah.
But this is the fire that was lit under his ass for him to go for it. And he's like, oh, I can do this. I can get away with this.
Yep. Because he did. He got away with this. His first murder was April 10th, 1984. He didn't get caught with this murder until 2009. In 2009, his DNA matches a sample obtained at the crime scene. In 2016, officials disclosed a second suspect was likely present due to DNA evidence, but they are not publicly identified due to lack of witness. So they're saying there was somebody else there with Richard, but that person,
which who knows, could have been his drug dealer, could have been anybody.
It could literally have been anybody.
Yeah.
But how crazy is that? From 1977 until 2009.
It just goes to show how advanced we've become with DNA processing and the ability to do that. Because I mean, what, 1980? Yeah, 1980. It's like they don't have what we have now. You know what I mean?
No. And
which is cool, because I feel like a lot of these old cases where they couldn't get a lot of the answers are now coming back into fruition, and we're able to test things that we weren't able to before and seek out answers, which I'm sure all of these poor families were longing for.
That's something I've been like dived in deep to lately, is cold cases, and how so many of these cold cases are finally getting answers.
Yep.
And it's like, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
It's sad when the victim in some of these cold cases, like their family is no longer around to get said answers. But wow,
it's peace of mind for families.
Yeah, for sure.
So Richard Ramirez is living in San Francisco. He murdered the 9-year-old girl, Mei Lung, but nobody knows that he did it.
Right.
So June 28th, 1984, the Night Stalker's first murder occurs in LA. So he's now moved from San Francisco down to LA.
Yep.
Which I want to say is like a 10-hour, like you're going up to down. You know what I'm saying? San Francisco at the time, I'm sure there was like you said, the crack epidemic was happening, and he was probably just chasing, drugs down.
The drugs and money to get said drugs and, all that not good stuff.
Yeah.
So June 28th, 1984 would be the Night Stalker's Richard Ramirez's first murder in LA. So Ramirez is first identified Now, we know he murdered the 9-year-old girl, but again, we wouldn't find that out for literally decades later.
And this was up in San Francisco, and now he's
Now we're in
relocated to LA.
Yeah.
The city of angels. But
That's a little spooky now that what we're talking about. Okay, so his first identified Night Stalker crime occurs.
this is how he got the name.
Yeah, and this would be 79-year-old Jenny Vincow.
So he did not discriminate age, race, size, sex.
If you line up all of his victims, it's all across the board.
Which is really
All across the board.
rare in a serial killer. Usually serial killers have a type,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they tend to go after, and usually it'll reflect some kind of trauma that they had, like whether it be women that look like their mother or their first girlfriend that broke their heart, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean, or the guy that stood them up in high school.
Yeah. Like, I mean, look at Ted Bundy.
So
for
he was
instance.
just doing this to do it, essentially, because he had this notion that, hey, I can get away with this. No one's going to catch me.
I personally think, yes, it's that, but then also it was needing money for the drugs.
Yeah.
So, because he was robbing these people too. So, but
I mean,
yeah.
you'll do anything to get your fix. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah. Wild. It's just wild. So Jenny was found murdered in her Los Angeles apartment, and she was nearly decapitated. Do you know how much strength it has to?
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
We learned that in the Jody and Travis case,
Yeah.
when she had execution style slit his throat, that it takes a lot of force to do so.
Yeah. And this poor woman's head was almost completely off. Wow. She was, so she was
Talking about losing your head.
Yeah.
I need to stop with the bad murder puns.
That was Coral, guys, not me. I'm just kidding. No, that was a funny one. I mean, and literally, when we're talking about this, you have to be able to make light of it. If not, you take it home and it's heavy and it's dark.
And I think listening to it too,
Yes.
watching, I want to keep it as lighthearted as possible for those of you who are commuting to work, or you starting your day with this,
For
or
real.
ending your night with this. I want you to find some laughs in this and some enjoyment, because if we can make light of it, I mean, although these are like really heavy things, then I think we're doing something right.
Yes. And literally some of my favorite podcasts that I listen to, like true crime podcasts that I listen to, they're not disrespectfully laughing, but they're laughing here and there and here and there, because again, it's heavy.
Yes.
It's really, really heavy.
Never at the victims.
No,
Never at the
it's
victims.
never. Yeah. And please know that this isn't this. Sometimes me too. I can only speak for myself in this situation, but tell me if you're the same. I laugh because it's so awkward, or it's like so like, and I just I laugh. I'm also the same person that, like, I don't cry happy tears. I giggle. Like, my son was born, literally, son just born. They placed him on my chest, and I'm laughing my ass off. Like, I laugh because
it's like a
for one
defense.
reason, because I'm happy, but in this case, it's just because sometimes it's so much and it's so heavy, and sometimes it's just so awkward. I'm like, get a little laugh.
Yeah, we do what we can when we can to
for sure,
for ourselves too, you know.
Yeah. So Ramirez's Richard's fingerprints is actually found. They found one fingerprint on a window screen that he actually removed to break into Jenny's home. So they now they have one fingerprint on this screen that he left behind. Crazy.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. That's just, I mean, one fingerprint, but at least they have something. Like, now they have something to work with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So March 17th, 1985.
St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, I didn't put that together.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. That kind of like just threw me for a second. I was like, wait a second. Serial murders begin. So do you want to kind of explain like the difference between just like a normal murder and a serial murder? Like what would be classified as a serial?
Okay, so serial murder, serial killers, it's usually 3 or more murders in a specific time span, usually a few months.
Yeah. Like a spree, if you will.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference actually.
Oh.
There's actually a difference between a killing spree. A killing spree is, say, somebody that goes into a mall and just shoots 10 people
Okay.
in the same day, right away. That's a killing spree.
See, look at this. We're all learning stuff together. I love that.
A serial killer could be somebody who's, let's say, kills 5 people over 2 months.
Okay. That makes sense.
Different days. You know?
Just a question on my own. Would it be like, does it have to be in a concentrated area, or like, can they go state to state and that still be classified as
It
serial?
could still be classified if they go state to state. Normally, most serial killers, it's in a certain like geographical area that they're comfortable with.
Oh, okay.
That they know, just usually because they can get in and out quicker.
They know the area.
But
Okay, that makes
serial
sense.
killers, you know, they go off and do their own thing. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's the difference between, you know, and then there's obviously a single murder. But yeah, that's a serial killer is, you know, a number usually over 3.
Yeah. I think it's good we touch on that because like the different cases that we do, there is, you know, serial murders, and then there's sprees, and then there's, you know, a singular, all my single ladies,
Oh, single ladies. Oh, I'm a single lady.
a singular murder.
Murder. Yeah, so that's the difference between your killing a spree and serial killer.
Education by Jess and Butcher True Crime.
Hey, I'm good for something here.
You're good for a lot, girl. Don't downplay yourself.
I love you.
So yeah, March 17th, 1985, serial murders begin. Ramirez attacks Maria Hernandez. She's 22 years old, outside of her home in Rosemead, California. So this is outside of her home, and like
Young girl outside of her home.
he shoots her in the face.
Yeah, but get this.
What?
She lives. You want to know
Plot
how?
twist.
She saw him coming at her, lifted up her keys to like shield her face, and the bullet
Oh my gosh.
hit her key,
Smart
which
woman.
slowed it down.
Smart woman.
So it hit her, and then Richard, assuming that she's dead, goes into her apartment, sees her roommate. Her roommate sees all this that just happened. She ducks down in the kitchen. He goes over and he does end up killing her.
So unfortunate. Back to the key thing. It makes me feel like as a woman, I feel like that's always my defense. If I'm walking in a parking lot alone, I usually like to keep a key in between my fingers just in case, because I'm a small girl. You know, I like to think I'm tough as all nails, but if someone comes up behind me,
You would,
I'm defenseless. So I just think that's really smart. And now we have all these cool gadgets and tools like the rape alarms and the little key knives and things like that.
Stun
so
gun.
ladies, if you don't have one of those, I definitely suggest getting some, or some bear mace, because the world is a crazy place and you gotta protect yourself.
But also be very careful with mace. Me personally, I carry a stun gun. I have a stun gun. Yeah.
Love that for you. Never get on Jess's bad side. Stun ya.
Nope. Yeah, you just gotta be careful with mace, because I forget the percentage that they say, but like it's something like really high. I want to say like 95% of the time when if you have to use your mace and you spray someone, 95% of the time you're getting that mace right back in the face.
Sure,
so just
sure.
be careful.
Maybe not mace. Maybe the other
careful.
things, but
Yeah.
definitely
You can
protect
buy
yourself.
like legal tasers and stun guns to carry.
So an hour after all of this occurs, Ramirez heads to Monterey Park. Oh my gosh, it's crazy to me because I grew up in California, and there's the Monterey Bay Aquarium. It's one of like the biggest well-known aquariums in the area. And so just like knowing that this happened in that area where I used to visit as a kid, and
Spooky.
yeah, it's definitely a little eerie. So he heads to Monterey Park, where he then shoots Sai Lian, or Veronica Yu,
Yeah.
twice after pulling her out of her car. So didn't shoot her once, shot her twice.
Yep.
Media calls Ramirez after this the walk-in killer or the valley intruder.
Yeah. That's what. And I sometimes.
He's a man of many different names.
Yeah, and I hate that the media does that sometimes, because a lot of these serial killers, they're getting off on the fact that they're now all over the media. They're getting these names.
They want that
and-
attention. They want that exposure. They don't want to get caught, but they are like, oh, look at me.
Exactly.
I'm doing this and I'm getting away with it. And,
Exactly.
And Richard Ramirez was also one of those guys that was very like, fuck the system, fuck the man, like very rebellious. So I'm sure he was having a field day seeing this everywhere.
And I'm sure the media is like wanting to tell them to be careful and protect themselves, this, that, and the other. But also it's like,
I mean, we're giving him nicknames.
It's like you're making them a celebrity or something.
Yeah, for real.
Oh man. So yeah, so Now we're moving on to March 27th, 1985.
So this is all happening very like close together.
Oh yeah, this is just.
Like,
I mean, his
he did the
killing
one
spree.
and it flipped a switch, and he was like, "Let's go."
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so March 27th, 1985. These are the Whittier murders. Now, Ramirez enters Whittier, California, and a home in Whittier, California, that he had actually previously burglarized. It's one of those words I can't say. Burglarized.
Yeah, I can't do it either.
Burglarized. He fatally shoots Vincent Charles Zazzara, who was 64 years old, in the head while he's asleep. His wife, Maxine, she's 44. She wakes up from hearing the gunshot that...
As anyone would.
Yeah, that just killed her husband. Ramirez beats her and searches the room for any valuables.
Yeah, he's like, "Where's my drug money at?"
Yeah, exactly, drug money. So he's like ransacking the room. He beats her. And Maxine actually escapes the binds that he had her in, grabs a shotgun that unfortunately isn't loaded.
Oh.
And this sends Richard into a rage.
Oh no.
Into a rage.
So I was just going to follow up by saying, when we were talking about having the dinner and me sitting down with him, I think that would be another one of my questions too. Like, how did it make you feel? Because this is now the second person. I mean, he didn't know the first one that he shot in the face ended up surviving, obviously, because he had fled the scene.
Right.
But I can't imagine, going in there with this thought, like, I'm doing this, I'm getting this done, I've done it before in the past, and it not working out the way he wants because he was not only on drugs, but just so off his rocker.
Yeah.
Like, how that made him feel, if that, made him want to go back to, it's like when you're playing baseball and you strike out, like, you want to go 10 times harder, do it 10 times better,
I feel like it would either be that, like you just said, like he's going to go 10 times harder, or just didn't even care.
Yeah.
It's like one or the other, I feel like. But so she grabs the shotgun that unfortunately is not loaded. Richard flies into a rage. Richard shoots her 3 times, then stabs her, gouges her eyes out. Like he just...
For what? She's already dead.
Yep. He puts her eyes in a jewelry box and then leaves.
He's like, these will make some nice earrings later. Maybe I'll send him off to Ed Gein and he'll make me a belt.
I mean, wowza. Like, for real. He leaves footprints in the flower bed and bullets on the scene that match those from the previous
You're getting
attacks that
sloppy,
he
Richard.
Just, yeah, now
You're getting
that's what
sloppy.
I'm saying. Like, maybe he just didn't even, like, at this point, he's like, fuck it. I don't
Yeah.
even care.
Yeah.
Like,
I can totally see that.
yeah.
Totally see that.
Yeah. So, yeah, unfortunately, they both died. And
But I think the police are now catching on. They're like, all right, we got this fingerprint, we have these casings, we have this footprints. Like, what can we do here? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
But also remember too, this is the early 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And technology was definitely not like it is
oh,
today.
for sure.
Yeah.
They're probably like taking paper and drawing out the footprints at this
Probably.
point in time. So May 14th, 1985, Ramirez attacks the Doi family. Ramirez breaks into Bill and Lillian Doi's home in Monterey Park. So we're still in Monterey. He shoots Doi in the face and beats him unconscious. He then binds Lillian, who I'm assuming is his wife, and searches their home for valuables, then rapes her. Bill Doi dies at the hospital.
And another thing too, like what's with them shooting
People in the face. Yeah.
What's with the face?
Yeah.
That's got to have some sort of psyche behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, it's one thing. I mean, it's god awful to shoot anybody.
Yeah.
But to keep shooting people in the face.
Yeah.
And there's something, and then with the eyes, the gouge the eyes out.
The eyes
There must be something. I'm thinking something with the eyes, so he just doesn't want to.
Doesn't want to see them when they pass away. And
Yeah.
I wonder too if it, I mean, we're just spectating here, but I wonder if it has any ties to his religion and his beliefs in Satanism, if maybe there was
True.
something along those lines of like maybe the sacrifices that in order to communicate with
Yeah.
the devil or whatever is like, I mean, who knows?
Through that. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he searches her home for valuables and then rapes the wife, and then Bill Doi is in the hospital and he unfortunately passes away.
Yeah. Yeah. So like you said, Bill dies. But his wife, thank goodness, she actually lives for a few more years. Then May 29th, 1985. So again, this is 14 days later.
Yeah.
Ramirez drives a stolen car to I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Monrovia, California, and breaks into Mabel Bell and Florence Lang's home. He attacks Lang with a hammer.
All right, we're switching up the weapon here.
Apparently. Binds her in the bedroom, and then binds and attacks Bell. He uses Belle's lipstick to draw a pentagram on her body, which apparently is a symbol for Satan. Draws that on her body and the walls of both of their bedrooms after raping her. The women are found 2 days later alive, but Belle eventually dies due to her injuries.
Oh my gosh. I just want to touch on too that Richard Ramirez, as we've like mentioned a few times, was a drug addict. Very poor personal hygiene. His victims that did make it out will describe him having the most atrocious stench.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's already horrific to obviously be murdered by him, but in those final moments, you know, you're smelling this horrific body odor, and he's just disgusting. Yeah.
The victims that lived said he reeked of body odor and cigarettes.
Yeah. So I just want to touch on that so you can get kind of an idea, like, while this is happening to these women, it's like, oh God.
Yeah. It's just, it's
You ever heard of a shower?
Lot. Well, because, you know, like when you have like those certain moments in your life, whether they're good or they're bad, you remember everything that was happening, like smells, taste, everything.
Yeah, it goes back into like
just
how people deal with trauma. Like sometimes people smell a certain thing and it'll take them back to whatever that traumatic incident was.
Yep.
Which is crazy the way the human body works and how we store trauma.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's just, it's wild.
Yeah. So a day later, May 30th, 1985, Ramirez terrorizes in Burbank. So we now moved out of Monterey and we're in Burbank.
Still in California, Burbank,
Oh,
California.
yes.
Yeah.
Ramirez drives a stolen car to Burbank and breaks into Carol and Kyle's home. He binds Kyle and her son, who's 11.
My God.
Then has the son point out to where the valuables are in the household.
He's 11. You honestly think he knows what's of like a lot of value? Anyways, that was Kyle's the mom.
So he goes on to rape the mother of the 11-year-old boy and binds the son to her and flees.
It's
So he doesn't kill the son. He just has her watch everything that he's doing to his poor mother.
Yeah. Because to him, it's normal for kids to see. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
It's normal for kids to see stuff like that.
Yeah.
He did.
But he can kill a 9-year-old, but allow.
Yeah.
Like that. This is where it's like
it doesn't make sense.
These patterns probably had the police stumped.
Mm-hmm. And none of it doesn't. And none of it makes sense.
Because there's no rhyme or reason. There's no real concise patterns in his murders.
No.
Besides stealing.
Yeah. Just opportunity, really.
Yeah.
I feel like. So then, Richard actually, as far as we know, takes June off. July 2nd.
We all need breaks.
Yeah, apparently. July 2nd, 1985. Ramirez drives the stolen car to Arcadia, California, to Mary Louise Canyon's home. He knocks her out with a lamp and stabs her with a knife from her own kitchen, and she is actually found dead.
So he's just grabbing for anything he can. He probably went in there with nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Probably sold his gun for some drugs.
Yeah.
God knows. He's stealing cars. He's doing what he can to get that next fix.
All opportunity, it sounds like.
Yep. No matter who gets in his way or whatever, he's going to do what it takes. So July 5th, 1985, Survivor in Sierra Madre. I'm a survivor. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep trying. Okay. So Ramirez heads to Sierra Madre, California, where he attacks Whitney Bennett. She's 16 years old.
Yeah, 16.
Which I look at you like that because I know you have a 16-year-old child. So I know this stuff gets a little...
It's disturbing.
With a tire iron.
Mm-hmm.
He uses a tire iron as she's asleep. Okay, so he then tries to strangle her. And he uses a telephone cord, but the cord sparks. And Bennett begins to breathe. Ramirez flees.
Yeah, it sounds like
freaked
he got
out.
worried. Yeah.
She believes that Jesus saved her.
No.
And
Yes.
And Bennett survives the attack.
Wild. Next up, we have July 7th, 1985. Ramirez tells victim to swear on Satan. So now he's making a victim.
Pinky swears her out. We're swearing on Satan.
Swear on Satan. Like, Ramirez breaks into Joyce Nelson's Monterey Park home. He burglarized the home, obviously drug money. Then beats her. I say obviously, but please no, I'm just assuming. Then he beats her to death, leaving a shoe print on her face. He then enters Sophie Dickman's home, handcuffs her at gunpoint, tries to rape her, and steals her jewelry. He tells her to swear on Satan. Yeah, I can't even wrap my head around that. That he stole everything of value in her home.
He wanted that validation.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think he's going on and raping so many women instead of just killing them and taking their stuff, because poor guy was so disgusting. No one would probably touch him with a 10-foot pole. So he's just getting his yayas where he can.
Amen, sister.
So July 20th, 1985. So we're looking at 12 days later. Wait, no. 13 days later. He's moving quick. He took that month off, but he's keeping it up.
Yeah.
So Glendale and Sun Valley.
Time out real quick. It makes me wonder what he was doing that month. I
hopefully
still,
taking a shower.
I still think that there was crimes he committed that he's still haven't been linked to him this day.
Yeah.
But hopefully
they probably need to go
shower.
back and look what had happened within that time frame, and they could probably link some stuff to him. But I'm not going to tell nobody how to do their job or anything.
Okay.
So yeah, July 20th, 1985, 13 days later, Ramirez buys a machete and drives a different new stolen car to Glendale, California. And here he enters Leela and Maxon Knighting's home, and he kills them both with a machete and a gun. He burglarizes their home and then drives to Sun Valley and breaks into the Covenant home. He fatally shoots Chainarong Covenant. He rapes and beats Somid Covenant, finds their 8-year-old son, and forces Sumkin to point out valuables in the home. So once again, we have a child. We're asking him to point out where the good stuff is as they witness him murder the parents.
Yeah, and you're going to tell me an 8-year-old knows what's of value. No, an 8-year-old's like, oh, well, I really like that truck, my toy truck, and my toy's over here. Like, no, come on.
He also forces her to swear to Satan once again that she isn't hiding any money.
It's insane.
Swear to Satan, you aren't hiding anything from me.
Like, it's crazy to me. August 6th, 1985. 2 more victims survive the Night Stalker. Ramirez breaks into Chris and Virginia Peterson's home. He shoots Virginia in the face. Like,
once again.
Yeah. Then shoots Chris in the neck and tries to flee the scene. Chris fights back, but Ramirez manages to escape. The couple, they both survive actually, though. Thank God. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then what is it, like 2 days later, Ramirez attacks the Abawath family. Ramirez breaks into Sakina and Elias Abawath's home. He fatally shoots Elias, who was sleeping. He then handcuffs, beats, and rapes Sakina while demanding their jewelry. He ties up their 3-year-old son in the process of all this as well.
A 3-year-old.
So his first murder was a 9-year-old girl, but as we're seeing in this pattern, he's letting the kids live, and I've kind of speculated.
Well, not all of them,
but the ones that he does, I think he like wants someone to bear witness to him and, you know, swear to Satan or do whatever the hell.
Or he's just trying to mess up.
As he was messed up.
As he was, yeah.
Hurt people.
So August 18th, 1985, Ramirez attacks in the Bay Area. So by this point, Ramirez has left Los Angeles for the San Francisco Bay Area. He breaks into Peter and Barbara Pan's home. He shoots Peter in the head, then beats and rapes Barbara before fatally shooting her. He uses lipstick to draw a pentagram, the symbol for Satan, and write Jack the Knife on a bedroom wall.
Weird.
Which, yeah, I still don't... I'm not...
The guy was on drugs, too. He's
a
little
like
loony.
Jack the Knife. Like,
another question I'll have for him at dinner.
At dinner, yeah. Okay.
So August 25th, 1985, Ramirez is identified as the Night Stalker. So Ramirez drives to Mission Viejo in a stolen orange Toyota. James Romero Jr.'s 13-year-old son hears Ramirez outside of their home and wakes up his parents. Ramirez flees, but the family manages to get a glimpse of the make and model of the car, as well as the color and a little part of the license plate.
Yeah.
So
we're getting somewhere now. We're getting somewhere.
And I think at this point, you know, it had to have been in the media. Like, this guy's around here. Like, everyone probably knows about it. The doors are being locked at
Yeah,
night.
because remember the 2 names that the media gave?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they saw him and were like, oh, what the heck? That looks like the guy.
Yep. So now Ramirez then breaks into Bill Carnes and Inez Erickson's home. He shoots Carnes 3 times in the head and tells Erickson that he's the Night Stalker.
A little full of himself now.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. They get like this ego when the... Yeah.
I agree 100%. And it's proven right here.
Yep. And then... so he tells Erickson that he's the Night Stalker, and that she must swear to love Satan.
Oh, hell nah.
Yeah. After raping her, he tells her, quote, "Tell them the Night Stalker was here," end quote. Erickson later gives officials a description of Ramirez. Oh, yeah, this whole thing turns my stomach, sorry. And they're able to find the stolen car in Los Angeles. There's a single, again, just one fingerprint on the mirror that matches Richard's fingerprint. Quote, "We know who you are now." This is, sheriff official saying this. We know who you are now, and soon everyone else will, end quote. Officials say when releasing a 1984 mugshot of his. So a previous mugshot of his. Quote, "There will be no place you can hide," end quote.
So they want him to know, hey, we have got you. You better be scared. We're coming to find you. And at this point, he's everywhere. So people are looking. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, it's not far off that he's going to get discovered soon with his sloppy ways of going about the
real shoddy work. Shoddy work. So, I'll let you go.
Yeah, so August 30th and 31st in 1985, Ramirez is caught by citizens, not the police, citizens.
How wild is that? Because let's be honest, nowadays, most people, like,
they see something and they're like, oh, the police will handle it. Like, no one wants to step in.
They don't want to know. I mean, even like, when your phone goes off and it's like an Amber Alert, most people are like, how can I turn this off real fast? Like, why is that making that noise?
Yeah, instead of taking 2 seconds to read it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, people don't want to be bothered anymore.
Mm-hmm. All right, so August 30th and 31st, this is a 2-day-long process. 1985, Ramirez is caught by citizens. So before he is caught by said citizens, he takes a bus to Tucson, Arizona, where he's going to go visit his brother. He returns to California the next morning. His mugshot is all over the newspapers.
Yep.
I'm talking in windows, like everywhere, which he notices, obviously.
Yeah.
He attempts to carjack a woman's vehicle, but a group of bystanders pursue him. So before he had carjacked, he was in a store and 2 women had identified him, correct?
Yep. 2 women noticed him, from the newspapers, mugshots, everything. And the one lady looked over and said to the other woman, El Matador, which translates to the killer. And then he heard this, took
kind of
off,
pick up on
running,
it.
He was booking it.
So he's
and
trying to carjack
tried
this
steal
woman's
a
car.
Yeah, to get away.
A group of bystanders start pursuing him. So these amazing citizens were like, oh, hell no, not our city, not our people. So one manages to hit Ramirez in the head, and they pin him down until the police arrive. So these are people who are putting their life on the line to bring an end to his heinous crimes, which is so admirable.
It's good for them.
Yeah, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall.
Them. Yeah, for sure. I wish I could have been one of them and just like landed a few punches in there,
For
wild,
sure.
wild times.
So that's how he gets caught. He does all this heinous stuff. People recognize him out in the public, and they are like, you know what? We're doing something about this.
Yep. So July 1988. So now this is 3 years later. 3 years.
Which we all know it's a process.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it was 3 years though. That's a lot. It's crazy. So
It's
Ramirez
also the
has
80s.
Ramirez has his first court appearance. Jury selection begins. Okay. For his trial that's set for July 22nd. Mm-hmm. At his first appearance, Ramirez yells in court, "Hail," quote, "Hail Satan," end quote. and has a pentagram on his hand. Now, if you Google,
That's the picture.
yeah, if you Google Richard Ramirez, that's like the first picture that shows up.
He's in the
It's everywhere.
courtroom, hands
He's
up.
big old smile on his face. Ooh.
I just can't imagine like getting caught in all this and like the first things you're gonna say are that like you're not really helping your case here, bud.
Nope. But I just don't think he cared either.
Yep.
You know.
So we fast forward a little bit to August 14th in 1988, and his trial is delayed. Ramirez's trial is delayed because one of the jurors is a no-show. So way to go, whoever that was. The juror, Phyllis Singletary, is later found shot and killed in her apartment. The jury wonders if Ramirez is behind her death, but it's later determined that her boyfriend killed her.
Yeah.
And then
people were
committed suicide.
freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
People were freaking out thinking that Richard was behind it.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But
But still,
it was proven not to be that.
And then they actually, so yeah, like you said, they found out that it was her boyfriend that killed her, and they ended up finding him, I think it was like a day or two later, and they found him with a bullet in his head. So he killed his girlfriend, and then he turned around and
For
killed
reasons
himself.
completely separate from this case.
Yeah, totally separate. It was just,
just
a
happened-
freak
Yeah.
thing that it happened to happen.
Also, poor timing. Like, we're trying to convict the serial killer. Like, let's get it going. It's been 3 years. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's just time is
It's
moving
time.
by.
Yeah. So September 20th, 1989, Richard is convicted. And he is convicted of 13 counts of murder, 13, 5 attempted murders, 11 sexual assaults, and 14 burglaries.
I think the fact that it ended up on 13 counts of murder is kind of crazy because 13 is associated with being kind of an unlucky number and also kind of
didn't
tied
even
into
realize.
some Satanism.
Oh,
So freaky, 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 freaky.
you're right.
Yeah, me and 13, I've always had a kind of ick towards it, but I think this just validates my ick a little bit more.
Ooh. Ooh. You're right.
Yeah.
Why did I never even put that together before?
That's how we do this together, girl.
Yeah, wild. So Ramirez, you know, like we said, he's convicted on a whole slew of things at this point.
Yeah.
June 7th. So then he was after he was convicted of everything, he was sentenced to death by gas chamber.
So with being charged with 13 murders, he was sentenced to 19 death penalties. So not one death penalty, not 3, not 10, 19.
Yeah. Which obviously you can't kill somebody 19 times, but it's the point behind it. It's getting justice for the families.
Yeah.
And
that's a crazy death penalty charge. Like insane, which also gives the account of him when you get sentenced to the death penalty, you're like in a special holding facility with other people who are also on death row, as they call it.
Yeah.
And I think depending on the counts too can kind of push you up into getting closer to
yeah, like
your end.
you skip ahead of people because you know, Joe
So
Schmo
19
killed
is
19
crazy.
and yeah. And they said the gas chamber, which isn't used anymore. But unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately,
but not the way I think people wanted to see him
exactly.
go.
That's what I meant by that. June 7th, 2013, Richard actually dies at age 55 of B-cell lymphoma.
53 actually.
53. That's what I meant to say. 53 of B-cell lymphoma. Yeah.
So yeah, that is the end of the Night Stalker. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see him get gas chambered, and
No.
I always wish that, I mean, and this is just like my messed up little mind, but I think that people who commit these crimes, I think that they should have the same thing done to them so they can experience what their victims went through. I think that should be their death penalties. Like, forget euthanization, forget a gas chamber. I think Richard should have had his throat slit and been essayed. I think he should have been bound. I think he should have had like everything stolen from him just so he can get a glimpse of
eyes gouged out.
shot in the face.
Yeah.
Just so he can experience maybe for 1 second what he put these countless people through.
Yep.
I mean, just because he got charged with 13 counts of murder, there's like 25 people that he attempted on and few that survived. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Jess. We actually forgot to let you know in this video that while Richard was on death row in San Quentin State Prison in California, he actually got married in 1985 to a woman named Doreen. However, after 13 years of marriage, Doreen reportedly cut ties with the killer. She did so after DNA evidence was found in 2009, which linked Richard to the murder and rape of a 9-year-old girl in 1984, which was Richard's first case that we spoke about earlier in this video. Again, we want you guys to have all the info, so continue on.
I mean, he's just, this whole story is.
Yeah. And this is like the
unsettling.
70s, 80s, where it's like we're having this movement of like love and peace and, you know, hippie kind of vibes. And so for someone to be so like heavily Satanist and so dark and like so demented and twisted was like very odd in this time.
Well,
Like
late 70s, 80s too. So yeah, it was like early 80s, like everything coming down from Vietnam War, people wanting peace, love on one side, and then the other side you got the crack epidemic.
yeah,
like,
which is it's just really crazy to think about. Like I always didn't live through that time, so I have no idea.
I was a baby, so well, early 80s I was a baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
It's
mean,
cool talking about like I'm not gonna say such an old case for my 70s, 80s babies who are watching, because I don't want to make anyone feel some type of way. But you know, when we talk about crimes that are happening like here now versus back then, it's just such a world of a difference with their ability to be able to get information so quickly.
Yep.
Like now with social media, the way that Ramirez was blasted, like, oh, he would have been found like that day.
Yeah, even with like the technology that the police use.
And now we have all these like online detectives, which I think is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
Like there are people just like sitting at a computer at home who are like solving these cases and aiding police into finding people. And if only we had those resources at that time.
It's either cool or it hinders. It can go either way.
Yeah.
With the at-home detectives, but
It's just cool to know that option is there.
Yeah, I think overall it helps a lot more.
Yeah.
So
And the fact that people care.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, that was the story of Richard Ramirez, and you're welcome.
The Night Stalker.
Yeah, dirty dog.
Yeah. Hug your kids, hug your mom, tell her you love her.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't even know what to say. Like normally I have a lot to say after, but this guy was just something, man.
Yeah, I'm so glad we did this together.
Yeah. This is definitely one that needs, I feel like doing it together, it kind of takes a little bit of the weight, the heaviness of it off.
I also feel like me, just how I feel towards him, I just probably would have, it's nice to have like a counter to what I'm saying, because I mean, like I said, like this is one of my favorite this is my favorite serial killer. And I just think there's so much more to it and so much information that we don't have.
Yeah.
Like on his way of thinking and behavioralism and things like that, that I just want to know, you know?
Yeah. There was a time too that Richard Ramirez was living at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. And if you want to check out a really good documentary, check out Netflix, the Cecil Hotel documentary. And yeah, like they said, I remember one part of this documentary that they said there was always like weird shit happening.
Yeah.
Like at this hotel. But at one point, they said Richard comes walking through the lobby and he's covered in blood and just walks to his room. And nobody said nothing.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Wild.
Well, I mean, just
Wild
like off
times.
of who he was as a person and like his stench and stuff, and like being able to go, if I was a front desk person at a hotel and someone walked in that was smelling like straight donkey booty, I'd be like, no, sir, I don't want to wash those or subject my, in-house workers to clean up after you, reeking like that.
Or the blood that you're covered in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's odd.
It's just, yeah.
The Cecil Hotel is just like a whole other entity on its own.
That's a whole other podcast we could do, because that place.
I've been before.
Nope.
I have a picture of me outside of it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that podcast.
The energy, girl. The energy.
I bet that
The
whole
energy.
Netflix documentary freaked me out. And it takes a lot to freak me out.
Yeah,
but
now it's all boarded up and
yeah, you can't.
like privately owned or
Yeah.
something, which for good, because we should probably keep people out of there.
Yeah.
Who want to, I mean, there's a lot of, especially with serial killers, a lot of mimickers, people who get so like deep dived into it. And like Richard Ramirez has like a few people who saw what he was doing and wanted to like carry on his legacy in a sense. And I think the Cecil Hotel was like a breeding ground for things like that. Do you know what I mean?
For
Just
sure.
Negativity and
Yeah.
ugliness.
Yeah. crazy times we're living in, folks. Crazy times.
All right,
So,
we're gonna shut the hell up and
gonna wrap this bad boy up. But thank you so much to Blake and Danielle at Hakuna Makaba
Love you
for
guys.
having us. We appreciate this so much. And, you know, I would say we hope you enjoyed today's podcast, but it's murder. And you at least enjoyed listening to us tell
enjoyed
you the
it.
story. Yeah, Coral's a weirdo. But thank you guys so much. And we will see you next week with our solos. I believe the schedule we are going to be keeping moving forward for the time being is 1 week we'll each put out our solo. And then next week it'll be our video together.
yes, I love that. Keep
So-
you guys, keep them coming.
Yeah.
Make sure you like and subscribe. Don't forget to comment and tell us who you would sit down with and talk to.
Yes.
A
Yes.
serial killer
Yeah.
or murderer or even like anything cultist.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's just so much. But
Who's sitting at your round table?
Who's sitting at? Yeah. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram, and please make sure to follow Hakuna Makaba on Instagram too, so you can stay up to date with all the really cool stuff that they have going on.
We'll put
here.
everything
Yes.
down here so you guys can see it.
I'll link it up. And then I think either our next video that we're going to do together or possibly the one after, with the next two, we are actually going to have a special guest.
I'm so excited.
Ah.
Let's not say too much,
No, but
everyone
let's
should
just
keep their eyes
say
peeled.
that
he has some firsthand experience with some crazy stuff.
extremely firsthand experience. We'll just say that he used to be a detective, but the city makes it all the difference because you're like, you know, he's got some cool stories. So
Yeah, I'm excited.
yeah, within the next couple weeks, we're going to have him on, and I'm so excited because I have a million questions for him. So
So keep your eyes peeled for that. And yeah.
yeah, high five. Keep the high five alive. All right, guys, thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
Bye, y'all.
guys.